You see the notification. You read it. You know exactly what you want to say. And then you close the app and tell yourself you'll respond later. Days pass. The message sits there, aging like milk. Now it feels too late, too awkward, too heavy. So you avoid it even harder. You're not ignoring the person. You're avoiding the feeling of having ignored them. And the longer you wait, the worse it gets. This looks like laziness or indifference, but it's actually your brain trying to protect you from something much deeper. Let me be clear. You are not a bad person for this. You are not broken, careless, or cold. This behavior makes sense. Your brain is doing exactly what it was designed to do: protect you from discomfort, even when that protection creates more problems than it solves. The guilt you feel is proof that you care. The avoidance is proof that something about responding feels unsafe. And understanding why that happens is the first step toward feeling less trapped by it. Because here's what most people don't realize. Avoiding messages is rarely about the message itself. It's about what responding represents. It's about energy you don't have, expectations you can't meet, a version of yourself you're not ready to perform. And your brain, in its attempt to keep you safe, chooses the path of least immediate resistance, even if it means more suffering later. There's a reason this happens to you, and it's not the one you think. The first reason is emotional bandwidth. Responding to a message. The first reason is emotional bandwidth. Responding to a message isn't just typing words. It's code switching into a version of yourself that feels appropriate for that person. It's managing their expectations, anticipating their reaction, calibrating your tone. It's emotional labor. And when you're already running on empty, even a simple, "Hey, how are you?" feels like a performance you don't have the energy to give. So you wait. You tell yourself you'll respond when you feel more like yourself. But that version of yourself never quite shows up. Because the exhaustion isn't about the message. It's about everything else you're carrying. This is especially true if you grew up in an environment where your worth felt tied to how well you performed for others. If love felt conditional, if approval required effort, if being enough meant being everything, then every message becomes a test. And when you're not sure you can pass, you avoid taking it. But here's the part nobody tells you. The person on the other end almost never cares as much as you think they do. The version of the reply you're building in your head, the perfect, thoughtful, articulate response, isn't what they need. They just want to know you're still there. But your brain doesn't believe that. Because to your brain, connection still feels like a performance. And if you can't perform, you withdraw. The third reason is shame accumulation. The first day you don't reply, it's not a big deal. Life happens. But by day 3, the message feels heavier. By day 7, it feels like a failure. And now you're not just avoiding the reply, you're avoiding the shame of having avoided it. The longer you wait, the more the message represents everything you think is wrong with you. Your flakiness, your inability to keep up, your failure to be the friend, partner, or colleague you think you should be. So you avoid it even harder. Because opening that conversation means confronting the guilt. And guilt feels worse than silence. This is how avoidance becomes a loop. The thing you're avoiding starts to symbolize the avoidance itself. And every time you see that notification, you're not just seeing a message. You're seeing evidence of your own inadequacy. So you close the app. You mute the conversation. You tell yourself you'll deal with it later. But later never comes. Because the emotional weight keeps growing. And the cruelest part? The shame you feel proves how much you care. If you didn't care, you wouldn't feel bad. But your brain doesn't process it that way. It just registers the feeling. Heavy, uncomfortable, wrong, and does what it always does. Avoid. And one of those things is when and how you engage. Not replying isn't just avoidance. It's a way of asserting boundaries in a world that constantly demands your attention. It's a way of saying, I get to decide when I'm available. Even if that decision traps you later, in the moment, it feels like power. It feels like protection. This is especially true if you've experienced relationships where your time, energy, or attention was taken for granted. If you've been the person who always replied, who always showed up, who always accommodated, then not replying becomes an act of self-preservation. It's a way of reclaiming space, of proving to yourself that you don't owe anyone instant access. Even if the person on the other end isn't demanding anything, even if the message is kind. Your nervous system remembers what it felt like to be drained by constant availability, and it refuses to go back. And this is where it gets interesting. The behavior that once protected you now isolates you. The boundary that once felt empowering now feels like a cage. Because avoiding messages doesn't just keep people at a distance. It keeps you from connection, from intimacy, from the very thing your nervous system craves. But your brain doesn't see it that way. It just sees the immediate threat, engagement, and shuts it down. As you get older, this behavior shifts. In your 20s, not replying might feel rebellious, like a rejection of social obligation. In your 30s, it starts to feel like failure. By your 40s, it feels like loss. Because the relationships you avoided nurturing have quietly faded. The friendships that required effort to maintain have dissolved. And you're left wondering why you feel so alone, when the truth is, you chose safety over connection so many times that safety became loneliness. But the behavior doesn't disappear. It just changes meaning. What once felt like control starts to feel like self-sabotage. What once felt like protection starts to feel like punishment. And yet, you still do it. Because the pattern is older than your logic. It's wired into your nervous system. And until you understand what it's protecting you from, it will keep protecting you from the wrong things. Because here's what this behavior actually is: emotional regulation. Every time you avoid a message, you're avoiding a feeling. The feeling of being seen. The feeling of being needed. The feeling of not being enough. The feeling of having to show up when you don't feel whole. And avoidance works, temporarily. It soothes the nervous system. It gives you a sense of control. It creates a pocket of predictability in a world that feels overwhelming. But it's a blanket that's too small. It covers you, but it leaves parts of you cold. It keeps you safe, but it keeps you alone. And eventually, you have to ask yourself, what am I protecting myself from? And is it still worth protecting? You don't need to fix this. You don't need to become someone who replies instantly, who manages everyone's expectations, who performs connection effortlessly. You just need to understand that the behavior made sense once. It kept you safe when safety felt scarce. It gave you control when everything else felt chaotic. It protected a part of you that needed protecting. But maybe that part of you doesn't need protecting anymore. Maybe the message isn't a threat. Maybe the person on the other end isn't waiting for perfection. Maybe you don't have to be the version of yourself you think you should be to deserve connection. Maybe you just have to be honest. And maybe that's enough. You're not broken. You're not lazy. You're not a bad friend. You're just someone whose brain learned to protect you in a way that doesn't always serve you. And now you get to decide what protection looks like. Not by forcing yourself to change, but by understanding why you are the way you are. And that understanding, that's where the shift begins.